was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. He took his first Polarity training in 1979 in Seattle and courses on Orcas Island, Washington. In 1981, he moved to Alive Polarity in Murrieta, California, Hot Springs. And if you've never been there, it's a wonderful place. And he took more Polarity training and lived on staff until 1987. He completed Polarity training and became certified there in the summer of 1987. He moved to Los Angeles and continued more Polarity training and completed courses with Gary Strauss. He became certified with American Polarity Therapy Association in 1992. He created Polarity Practice in Los Angeles, and he still gives treatments there, which I know very well. I have seen him there for about 30 years now. He taught APTA certification programs in New Orleans and started teaching for Life Energy Institute in 1997 in LA. He started teaching at Southwest Institute of the Healing Arts in Tempe, Arizona, and continues to teach there for the Life Energy Institute to this day. And I am so pleased and happy to welcome. Thank you, James, for taking time today to talk to everyone.
You're welcome, and thank you for inviting me. Nice to see you.
Great to see you too. So I can't believe, so we've had a wonderful, not only therapist-client relationship, but also friendship relationship over the past, I don't know, since 1994 maybe, I think.
Long time,
It's
yeah.
a long time. So the reason why I wanted you on this show is that here in Vermont, I don't think we actually have any Polarity therapists, and it's really benefited me so much over the years. Could you explain to the viewers what Polarity therapy is?
In the 50s, Dr. Randolph Stone created Polarity because he knew he went to India to find out what are these people doing to heal, without doctors. And he saw that they were doing hands-on healing work and using their hands on people. So he created Polarity therapy, which means masculine, feminine, yin and yang, and we all have that in our own beings. And so there are three major energy fields: masculine, feminine, and neutral, or positive, negative, and neutral. And so he created this whole system of body work and diet and exercise and a whole lifestyle of how to live mentally and emotionally and physically in the world in a healthy way, so that we can look at the world as not a burden, but as something to be looked at as fulfilling, creating fulfillment in our lives.
I like that.
Especially when we're feeling good and healthy inside. So he created diets, 3 diets, just like the 3 energy fields: of purifying diet, health building diet, and vegetarian diet. I've been a vegetarian now for 48 years.
Wow.
And, just the whole dynamic of being healthy inside. And so this whole body work of Polarity therapy is based on the energy field. I don't know if you can see, this is what our energy looks like, our energy body.
Wow.
And and these little generators in our bodies are called chakras. And each chakra has its own triad of masculine, feminine, and neutral, positive, negative, and neutral core. So that when you have a disease, when you have body aches and pains, you can use certain techniques that he wrote. He wrote this whole book, Polarity Therapy, full of techniques, body work, and understanding of how to balance our energy in the field. And we have these fields inside of us, like I showed you in that first picture. And these are our generators. And sometimes the generator needs a good oiling, a good, renovation. Yes. And so Polarity Therapy does pressure points, exercises, and nutrition, so that we can walk through life in a healthy, vibrant way. And so Polarity Therapy means positive, negative, like the Earth. The Earth has its own polarity. So it has the equator, the North Pole, the South Pole, and the equator. And so does our body. You know, our head is our North Pole, our feet is our South Pole, and our umbilical cord is our neutral pole or our diaphragm. And so I've been doing this work because I have seen miracles happen when people change their attitude or change their lifestyle in a better way. And the body work really helps injuries and just overall toning of the vibrational core inside of us. And one of the main things of polarity therapy that Dr. Stone discovered was our body is made up of sound waves.
Oh, wow.
And yes, like our body has particles that have come together through sound and created our flesh, our bones, our blood circulation, our organs, our emotional body, and the way we think. And so this sound current, he calls it, is one of the main things that we do in polarity therapy is to balance out the sound current when it gets out of frequencies or out of balance.
Wow. So that also sounds like it's also coming from wisdom that was a long time ago, because you see a lot of those sound references with toning, chanting. Is that kind of in alignment with that?
It's all the same thing, and it's ancient. You know, knowing the sound current is very ancient. Like specifically, you know, in the Bible, Adam was created, there was the Word, and the Word was made flesh. Well, in Dr. Stone's understanding of the Word and the sound current, the Word is the sound current. And it's like a sound frequency, and that's the Word.
So is it like energy into manifestation sort of a thing?
Yes, energy into manifestation.
So we're just walking manifestations of our sound.
Yes.
So then with that said, if sound is very powerful and word is very powerful, so then what happens to a physical manifestation, a physical body, when they're only repeating really harmful things to themselves and others?
Well, the body is meant to decay. We have a beginning and we have an end. But how our mind and how our spirit are really important ways of how we can live healthy throughout our whole life by having certain attitudes and wisdom, and through understanding, like in meditation or contemplation, our sound current gets more increased. And when we increase our sound current consciously through meditation or relaxation, we're creating vibrational health inside.
So when you're doing polarity therapy on someone, how is that? How are you working with the sound? And are you working with the magnetic current through
the magnetic current? Yes. Like let's say you have an injury or a bad back. Most of us have bad backs and back pain. And so I go to the sacrum balance. Sacrum is at the base of the spine, and start working the whole spinal cord and the sacrum. That's called spinal balancing. And that creates harmony within the spine. And so it helps to relieve a lot of stress and pain. It helps release the pain in many ways, so especially when you daily continue with like the exercises or a better diet. You know, we're full these days. Our food is full of poisons and, you know, and toxifications and additives and all kinds of chemicals. So even some of the vegetables, if you become a vegetarian, you have to be careful and wash the vegetables really good of all the poisons that they spray on. So, you know, we're living in a time when we have to be really conscious of what we eat and what we put in our minds and how we think. And especially the things that we look at on our televisions and our telephones and all the visuals that we see go into our consciousness and affect us. So we want to be able to balance that out.
So it sounds like I was for the sake of the show, I was discussing wellness in regards to the foundationals of Dr. Peggy Swarbrick's model back in, I think, the 70s. But that goes, I mean, models of health and wellness go back for eons, right, since there were human beings. But for the lack of for a structure, it sounds like polarity therapy really hits those foundational structures, what you said, obviously the physical, and then the mental, right? The emotional, the intellectual, the spiritual concepts, and then also environmental, because you're going to want to do things in a way that will holistically support all that, right? It's like you don't want to have organic breakfast and then have junk food for lunch. It doesn't, right? My mentor said that and it cracked me up. It's the truth, right? So we all have been there. We all know how that feels, even if we're traveling or whatever. It's like, oh boy. So what about now in one of the pillars? Actually, I want to talk more about how you've been doing this for so long. Did you say 40 years?
48.
48 years. It's amazing because you only look 50, so I don't know how that's possible.
I was 2 years old when I started.
So with that said, what I want to know is what got you into this and how does it affect you personally? What are the benefits of that?
Well, honestly, I was born and raised in New Orleans. So, New Orleans people start drinking when they're 1 and 2. I'm surprised I didn't have alcohol in my baby bottle. But, living in that city is, especially back then, everybody drank and was carousing. And even in college, it was pretty intense. And, we had, that was the beginning of processed food back in the 70s. The 60s and 70s, really in hardcore processed food, McDonald's and Burger King and things like that. And so we were eating and gouging those things. And I was starting to feel sicker and sicker. I was going to the doctor more when I was 25 years old. Oh. And, had gastrointestinal problems. And so, like, when I moved to Seattle from New Orleans, because I wanted to get away from my youth and those things. And I knew Seattle was very progressive in those days. And I found polarity therapy, in Seattle. And they were practicing. So I decided to take a 10-session series. And in those days, a 10-session series was $250. So I said, yeah, I'll take it. And so I did it, and I started noticing that I was walking better. I lost about 40 pounds. People thought I was some sort of, the way I walked, it really changed my pelvic structure and my spine. And so I was walking really strong and healthy. And people noticed that, and they were asking me, what are you doing? And how are you losing weight? So actually, when I went back to New Orleans to visit my family and I was 40 pounds less, they were shocked. They couldn't understand it. And I was very vibrant and healthy. And so that's what kept me going on the road. And then I learned more polarity. And then the group that I got polarity at Orcus moved down to Southern California and became part of a live polarity community. And all of us were practicing polarity at the same time. Plus, we had a spa with mud baths and mineral baths. A beautiful place. And it's reopened, I hear.
And that's in Murrieta?
Yeah, they reopened it. And they're going to have exercise programs there. And my friend Jennifer, who has a whole polarity facial products, she's going to be doing that in the spa. So it's really, we're having a renaissance of healing and health now.
Yeah, I really feel that. Why do you think that renaissance is happening?
Well, it's like every other, thing that it blows up. It's really wonderful, and then it kind of fades away, and something new comes in. But we're realizing that polarity therapy is one of the old foundations. It comes from ancient philosophies, and so what's new is old and then becomes new again. It's like recycling, and that's why it's happening. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and it seems that, like a lot of these, for lack of a better word, ancient traditions, they, we don't really need, what was I going to say? Like in the medical industry, they do these studies and tests and all these things like that, right? To have these, what do they call it? Surveys? The word is escaping me right now, right? PubMed articles. Case histories, but ancient history, ancient medicine, ancient traditions, things like that, acupuncture, Ayurveda, all these things about energy medicines. The proof is in the pudding. I mean, we've already done a lot of these studies. We see that these techniques work, right? And would you say with polarity therapy, is there a specific what's the word I'm looking for? Issues that it specializes in, or does it address the whole system and can address anything from tinnitus to a bad back to, acid reflux?
Yes, it addresses the whole system, especially trauma. And polarity will actually help traumatic experiences to come to clarity with that.
Wow, can
And
you
that's
talk more
why
about that?
yes, I was really, being in New Orleans as a child was rough. And so I was traumatized a number of times as a child, just living in the neighborhoods and the gangs and, all kinds of things going on with alcohol abuse and stuff like that. So those are all traumatic experiences. And through polarity, I learned how to come to an understanding of who I am and my destiny, and why I was born in New Orleans with certain parents and stuff. And that's called destiny. And our health issues are part of our destiny. And once you understand that, then it starts to reverberate in our thinking and our feelings of how to start to heal those traumas. And we can do it through psychology. We can get it through experiential things, but polarity for me hit home. There were other modalities I wanted to do, like Reiki and Rolfing and stuff like that. But I loved polarity because they had Gestalt therapy, that you could talk to the voices that were abusing you, or talk to the sides of you that were unhealthy, and you could come to terms and come to some sort of completion with that, and then your body is like vibrant.
So is that in a way, so it's not dissociating, but is it rather a disidentification? It's basically saying, is that what that means? Is that what you're saying?
It's not disassociation, it's
is it
coming to
disidentifying?
Resolution, creating a resolution of something that's happening in the trauma.
So in order to do that, is it a process of coming to the acceptance that it's there instead of resisting it all the time?
Yes, absolutely. And once it's there, the voices start coming up more and more, and then you address the voices, and then they disappear.
I see.
They come to a healing.
So it's not ignoring it, saying, oh, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. And it's not indulging in it, saying, oh my God, the pain is overwhelming, and then getting into that loop where you can't get out of the pain. But it's rather being informed, getting the information from it, accepting that this is the situation, and then being able to work with it. Is that what I am hearing?
Absolutely. As a child, I loved my parents, but they were alcoholics. And so I became an alcoholic. And so I had to listen to the voices of what is my attachment to my parents, that is making me go down the tube. rather than building up from a new generation. And so I learned what it means to be in a new generation and to forgive my parents. And forgiveness is the biggest healer that we can possibly give ourselves as a gift.
That
is
seems like
learning
a
how
huge.
to forgive.
That seems like a huge gap, though, doesn't it, between whatever it is that we're holding on to, and then that aha moment of forgiveness. Do you think
It is a big gap.
Do you
And you
think
have
that
to-
polarity can help with that movement?
Absolutely.
How
you
can it help?
fill in the blanks through body work, because those traumas and that they make imprints in our muscle, in our tissue, in our bones, and working with polarity to release those energy blocks will actually release the whole network of trauma and pain. And that's why I love it, and I've stayed with this for all these years, because I see results.
I can see what you're talking about now that, I have been a massage therapist as well. I don't do polarity, but I've been a massage therapist since 1997, and you helped to inspire that as well too, just how wonderful I felt. And that concept of healing crisis, when someone's on the table and you are working on them and all of a sudden it's in the cells, right? It's like that word cell, right? It's like we imprison ourselves. We can be imprisoned by it, or we can be free. And that's what I'm fascinated to explore. So how would you, are there any practical exercises or things that maybe, a couple of things that you can share that someone can do if they can't get out to California and have an appointment with you, or there's
great.
or there's no polarity therapist around? What could they do?
Well, Dr. Stone created a whole series of energy exercises so that when you have pent-up energy or rage or anger or grief or sadness, he created this exercise from Hatha Yoga. Ha meaning sun and fire, moon meaning coolness and resolution. And so the one thing that I like to do to release frustration and anger inside of me is called a ha breath, which is fiery.
Okay.
So I can show you what we did. I did like 300 or 400 ha breaths a day until I started feeling like, yes, now I'm starting to feel like my back and my body is starting to feel good.
Oh.
And I can show you the ha breath.
Yes.
All right. So this is what the ha breath looks like. And let me adjust my camera. So I stand back here and I put my hands on my knees and I come down and let my head relax. And I go up and down and I push up and then I easy go down. These are easy exercises.
James.
Up and down, yes.
I'm going to stop you for 1 second. Can you move the face cradle?
The face cradle.
Behind you.
Oh, sorry.
It gives an interesting view. Okay, now you can go.
Sorry.
No.
Okay, so we're going to inhale up and exhale down. Inhale up and go ha. And ha. 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 And so we're coming from our diaphragm and our belly, not our voice, not our throat. You don't want to go ah. You want to go ha from deep inside and release all that, because our diaphragm and our liver hold our frustrations and hold memory of bad events. So by doing this, we're kind of sending signals to our liver, our diaphragm, and our nervous system to start to release all this frustrated, pent-up energy inside. So you can do straight up and down, ha, or go side to side, ha, and ha, and ha. This is one of the most incredible exercises when you start to feel like you're getting blood circulation and you're releasing a voice inside of you that has not been spoken. And so the ha, or sun energy, is creating a fire inside of us to help our whole organs and nervous system. So when I go ha, ha, and I relax my neck, ha, ha, I'm sending signals to my brain and spine and nervous system saying, good, we got our medicine, we got our doctor inside, and that's the sound current at its best.
I love that.
That's the sound current.
I love that. Now, for people who don't know, when you actually go to get a polarity treatment, we're not doing exercises like that together. Basically, you're fully clothed and lying on a massage table, and you're very comfortable, and then you're basically working with a magnetic energy current, correct?
Yes, and doing certain pressure points that correlate to each of the chakras.
So therefore, it would be basically a very safe sort of session for people maybe who have issues about getting a traditional massage where you would be unclothed and having oil slathered on you, right? It's very safe.
No, this isn't. It's not at all. You stay clothed, and it's really wonderful. And I work through the clothes on the pressure points. And
wonderful.
Sometimes, sometimes people want to say, "Oh, work my shoulders," and they bring down their shirt a little bit, and I work their shoulders and neck.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens.
James, we might have to do a part 2 because you are such a wealth of knowledge, and I so appreciate your time today. It's really unbelievable. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your knowledge.
You're welcome. It's been wonderful seeing you again. Congratulations on your show.
Thank you so much. So that's all the time that we have today for A Time for Wellness. Remember to take good care of yourself and others. And until we see each other in person, be well.
Bye-bye.